So I said to Freddie, I called him up the next day, whatever I did. Maybe it's in better detail than that. And I said, I'm thinking about doing it. He said, you're kidding. I said, yeah, but I said, look, but I'll do it if we get a guy, and I said I should get a guy, one of the copywriters here that I can work with. Not that I needed the copywriter, but I know you're going to need a copywriter. You know, I can't be just, you can't go talk to clients and I'm the writer, art director, you know. I was thinking of Von Rosenfeld, I liked him, a young guy there. I was thinking of some of the younger guys. Then I said, this fucking guy Koenig, we hadn't worked that much together. We only did a couple of ads together, you know. But I said, if Julian Koenig comes with us, we'll do it. He said, who's Julian Koenig? I said, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, somehow I get them together, and they look at each other, they recognize each other from the track.
Right.
Julian, they both used to go to track all the time. Julian didn't do it at Doyle Dane because he was afraid to. But when we started our ad agency, we'd work an hour, he would disappear, you know, for the next day. So they got this, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about it. This is only a couple of weeks' time. This is scheduled.
Yeah, end of 59.
And I'm saying, you know, if we do this right, it's not going to be this Pap and Free joke off I told Pep, you know, which is like a little big time. This would be the second creative agency in the world. You know, we would have the power and the talent to be the second creative agency. You know, it's just, we could be historic. And he said, oh yeah, and I still have, and he said he had some accounts. He was full of shit. So I'm sitting there saying, we have no accounts, but I think if we announce it, we could get accounts, you know. And Julian had the reputation from Think Small, and I had the reputation overall. I had gotten 3 medals in the Art Directors Club there. I mean, it was right, okay. So, just a couple of weeks talk, and we had space. We had space at the Seagram building,
right?
Which I picked out for Freddie when he started his agency. You know, when he started his agency, he said, "George, where should I have an office?" I said, "Go to Seagram building." He said, "You mean?" He said, and the Seagram building was empty. When the Seagram building was open, nobody moved in. Everybody thought it was an ugly building. Believe that? Believe that? And I took Freddie up there. We had a choice of everything. We picked out some space, and you know, the only people in the building was Seagram and a couple of other guys. Right? Let's do it. Let's go. And Julie said, "Well, I thought you were gonna." I said, "No, we gotta go." So that was another couple of days. He said, "Okay, let's do it." I said, "Okay, meet you 10 o'clock." He said, "I'll meet you 10 o'clock at the elevator." We had to go up to the, okay, I go to the elevator. I find out not only is he there, but he left the agency. He ran away from me. That happened for like 2 or 3 days, and finally did it. Let's go up and tell him. Freddie, meanwhile, is going crazy. We go up, and on the elevator, I said, "Who starts this, you or me?" He said, "I'll do it." You know, like I write the copy. He was saying, "I write the copy." Right? And we walk into Bill's office, and Bill looks at us. There must have been something on our face, because he looks at us and he looked at our hands if we didn't have an ad with us.
Weren't you wearing jackets?
Yeah, oh yeah, we were wearing jackets, and I had nothing in my hands.
No layouts.
You're right, we put on jackets,
yeah.
Which was a hell of a signal, but it's terrific, which was a hell of a signal that something was wrong here.
Serious.
And he said, "Come in, fellas." And he walked around to the corner of his office, and he sat behind a desk. I never realized there was a desk there. And he's looking at us. And I'm waiting for, Julian said he would start. So I'm waiting for Julian. It must have been 3 or 4 dead seconds, you know. So I start to say something. Julian says, "Bill, George and I are leaving the agency, starting a new agency." Yeah, I want to punch. You know,
He blew it.
I mean, that's not the way that stuck. I mean, his head went back a foot, and and he had two thoughts immediately: how could you leave here, and what accounts did you steal?
Plus, how could you
Because
think it could be done outside of DDB?
Well, first of all, he left Gray with accounts. You don't leave an ad agency unless you have accounts. I mean, he never said that, but you could see his eyeballs trying to figure out what was going on. And then I said, Bill, and then I jumped in and I said, Bill, we're not taking any accounts. We're going with nothing. Nothing but our talent. Nothing but our talent. How you doing? We have a partner by the name of Fred Papert. Who's he? I said something, and he said, never heard of him. How old is he? I said, maybe, I don't know, 35, 30. 35, and I never heard of him? He's nobody. You know, and Bill was like, and then the conversation starts saying, when he started to understand it was just these two wacky guys leaving the agency, going into business with some guy who he never heard of, and he said, you gotta understand. I mean, it was always like the way when he started to make a point, you know, and always pretty terrific about advertising. He said, you gotta understand. I mean, it was like a lesson. There can't be more than one great creative agency in the world.